no matter what political plane you lie on, people are making realizations. Now, whether or not those are entirely well-founded. Actually, no. I'd go as far as to say the realizations are probably well-founded. It's how they go about addressing them where I vastly disagree with some people, right? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Discourse Debrief, episode 10.
10.
Double
we made it.
digits.
Oh, we're big time now.
Amen. But yeah, this is episode 10, and this is going to be our last episode of the fall/winter 2024 semester. So yeah, it's been a fun journey. It's not going to be as long as our other episodes today, but yeah, I think we're excited about it. You want to go over, how things have been, what's been going on?
Yeah, Peyton and I have been kind of doing a lot, been pretty busy with stuff, hence, it's been a while, but also, holidays and whatnot. The debate that we had, was it last week?
A week ago.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that VOD is up on the channel, so if you're interested in that, go take a look. It was really fun. We lost by like 3 votes, 2 votes or something like that, but yeah, it was really fun and a good experience for everyone involved, so definitely give that a look if you haven't already. Yeah, anything else that we have done?
This isn't necessarily tied to debate series or discourse series, but our same professor administrator, Ted, who runs discourse series, is also running something called Regents Cup, which is like a debate competition thing that both Logan and I have been trying out for. We'll know if we made it. Probably did. In the coming days. But yeah, Logan and I have been on the discourse grind, one might say.
One might say.
One might say. But we know we have a lot of events planned coming up in the spring. We'll have a better idea of what those are looking like once spring actually gets here. But we know we have a lot lined up. But for now, this is what we have going on. So it's going to be a looser conversation today. But I think an idea that we both agreed upon was just evaluating our debate. What we liked about it, what we didn't, our performance, the whole vibe. So I guess we'll just start with you. How do you feel the event went?
Yeah, pretty strong. I mean, it was my first kind of formal debate. I mean, I've argued with my friends back and forth, but that's really nothing compared to the actual structured, this side goes first and this side of the debate that we had. But overall, I was pretty happy with myself. I was definitely better at the back and forth rounds than I was the whole rehearsed speeches and whatnot.
Me too.
Yeah, that's just kind of how my brain works, and the fact that I just don't memorize very well. So, but yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I don't think I made any major novice mistakes as far as falling into traps or anything like that. But yeah, I guess what did you think about yourself and everything?
Yeah, broadly the same. This was also my first formal debate. Over the course of the semester, I've been taking a class called Argumentation, which is just debates, and I did 2 debates in that class, but it was a classroom setting, right? This is my first time in front of an audience. Same vibe as you, I think. I'm proud of my performance, given it was my first time. Definitely, I wouldn't go as far as to say sucked in my closing statement, but definitely felt stronger in the back and forth middle section.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you enjoy about the process most? What did you dislike about the process most?
I guess I'll kind of tie this into why I want to do what I want to do. I just love the sort of scheming aspect and the planning. Okay, what are we going to say? What do we think they're going to say? And what do we say in response to that? I just love the the planning and the strategy, and which is why I'm interested in politics, because it, for better or worse, I love the drama and controversy that goes on, and it's just so funny to me and interesting. But yeah, I really like that. As far as the debate itself, again, just the back and forth, it was very, very good, very respectful, pretty productive, I would say, too. I mean, it's a pretty complex topic, student debating, but I think we made some good progress on the front. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, how was the proposal worded? What should the purpose of student...
What should the goals be?
What should the goal of student protests be?
Yep.
Yeah. When I first got this, I was a little nervous because student protests on college campuses, they don't scare me, but they often get, let's say, emotionally charged, very passionate, and that's not something I'm I don't know, I can empathize with very well, and I don't want to avoid making anybody upset.
Sure.
But I think we handled the topic very delicately on both sides, and in good detail too. We went all over the place, had different examples. I don't know. I guess it was a testament to my like confidence not breaking down in front of like an actual audience this time, because in the past I've only been in front of like classroom settings. But yeah, I mean, since this was your first like debate, what were you like feeling going into it? Like, were you nervous as hell? Were you like, I'm just that guy? Or?
The days leading up to it, I was like, yeah, we got this, because I was very confident in the points we had and just the overall argument we were making. But then like 20 minutes, 15 minutes beforehand, I'm like, oh God, I'm actually going to be up there and, actually doing this. And like, oof, this is a little scary. But once we got into it, then it was all gone, and it just kind of came a little naturally, again, more during the back and forth. So, which is kind of interesting, the structure, how it works like that. I'm sure there's a reasoning behind it, but I don't know why it's, very structured and then no structure at all and then very structured at the end. Like, do you know kind of what the background is on that?
I'm not 100% certain, because it's Oxford-style debate.
Right. But
in my head, it was like you have 7 minutes opening, and then they have 7 minutes, and then they have 6 minutes, and you have 6 minutes. And it's just very rigorous, because in my argumentation class, that's kind of what the structure was like, and I thought it was going to be a lot more stringent like that. But I really don't know. I mean, the idea of like an opening statement makes sense to me, and the back and forth, I guess they just put more faith in their debaters than I would have expected. More trust in them.
Which makes sense, because we all knew each other. I mean.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't know. I like it though.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun.
My least favorite part is the rehearsed like opening and closing statements though.
Yeah.
I definitely have to work on those for me.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that bugs me is like, you can have so many good points, and then just a really, really good closing statement could just wash those all away. Yeah. Which, like, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but, like, I guess I'm just more of a logically centered person rather than emotionally, so it rubs me the wrong way a little bit, but that's also just more of a personality thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that and Jacob's just cracked.
Oh, yeah.
One of our opponents who ended up doing the closing statement has been doing this for a long time. And when I did my closing statement, I messed up and I forgot our zinger. But... No, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I wonder what it would have been like if I was in like that audience and like watching other people debate, how I would have felt, whether or not I would have been swayed one way or the other. But yeah.
Well, that's one thing I noticed. So in our Regents tryouts, we do like a lot of mock debates, and when we're not debating, we'll be in the audience watching our I guess fellow teammates, if you want to call them that, debate. And yeah, it always struck me as odd watching them, because sometimes they'll be like, okay, their points make a lot of sense, but the way they're framing it just is not very good. So I kind of struggle to see. I mean, in my mind, I know who I agree with more, but as far as who actually won the debate, that's like a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm. Another aspect of it that maybe this is unique to me, but I imagine since we're all like doing tryouts for this, it's probably the same for everybody. I'll be sitting there, and then the side that I agree with more just doesn't take the logical route that I imagine to be most strongest. So I'm sitting there like, oh my God, you should be talking about how altruism isn't real and whether or not human nature is good. And then you mentioned altruism, and then you didn't go. And this is all just going in my head.
Yeah.
But like if it's not like he said, it's like formal, like not formal, but like mock debates, and we're all watching each other, critiquing each other. If it was like a real event, I wonder if I'd be thinking the same thing or not, or if I'd be more prone to emotional sways.
Yeah, just the circumstance of it being a tryout itself, probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd probably agree, and I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, especially the human nature one, I was like, wow, I was not going to make that argument if I was given that topic. But, I was going to go a whole different direction, but at the same time, it was still pretty good. So, yeah, any final thoughts on the actual debate?
On the actual debate? Just in closing, I'm proud of how we did. I mean, for this being Logan's first formal debate, he did a damn good job too. Not that I wasn't expecting it, but you really solidified, what I thought I saw in you, even though I have no right to claim any of that.
Thank you.
But great experience. Hopefully we'll be doing more in the future, as maybe we can move into it a little bit, but we started talking about Regents Cup. But before we get there, what are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like what you said, and you did a great job as well.
Thank you.
I guess for me, a lot to work on, which is always a good thing, right? We
Amen.
learn more from our failures than our successes. So lots to work on, but also at the same time, lots to be happy about and pretty satisfied with. But yeah, like you said, I'm excited to do more, excited to do what we're doing at Regents, and yeah, just see where this takes us, I suppose.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if our audience would be like explicitly familiar with Regents Cup. Do you want to like just let them know quickly what it is?
So it's an Arizona State competition. So U of A will be at the competition, ASU and NAU, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just there's two parts to it. There's a storytelling aspect and then there's a debate aspect, and they're separate. So we're trying out. We're going to both meetings, but we're heavily leaning more towards the debate side. We just feel, that's kind of where our skills more align, and that kind of goes back to the rehearsal bit I'm not a fan of, and that's completely what storytelling is. So, but yeah, it's just a competition. There is prize money, and it'll be in like April. So the fact that we're starting now means it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, I don't know how to otherwise describe it. It's a competition.
Nah, yeah, you put it perfectly. This was first, like, I've known about Regents for a little bit. As I've probably mentioned her a few times, one of my professors, Dr. Diana Leonard, when I first took Intro to Public Speaking, God, almost 2 years ago now. I think it was 2 years ago. Christ, I'm old. But at the end, she would always plug it. She's like, guys, look at Regents Cup. If you like public speaking, go do it. And I was like, I'm ass. So I'm not going to do it. Thank you though. But as I took more of her classes, got a little more confident in myself, started finding myself, I was like, you know what? Maybe. And now here we are, and we're both trying out for it. But yeah, you put it perfectly. Right now we aren't guaranteed to be in it. It's I don't want us to sound pretentious, but it's like there's a pretty prestigious like tryout session. It's pretty grind heavy. Like Logan and I have been pretty busy this past week. But how do you feel about the like mock debates that we've been doing? I feel like those are really interesting.
They've been really fun, honestly, for me. Like, even when I'm not doing it, so I've moderated a couple of them because they need a moderator.
And very well.
Oh, thank you. And it's fun to be around that conversation because going into it, I'll have in my mind, like, okay, I just instinctually, I think this side is correct. And then sometimes it'll be reinforced, sometimes I'll sway. But yeah, it's just really fun to be like kind of around that conversation. In the actual debates itself, pretty happy with what I've been doing. I made a big improvement in the last one. I wanted to work on asking more questions, more questions than even answering sometimes, and that worked out very well. So pretty happy, like just having a general idea of like what I want to work on. And yeah, they've been just super fun. What about you? Yeah,
well, first and foremost, 100%. Everything you just listed there. I mean, just the experience, the recognizing, what I do consistently that I can work on, or what my strengths or whatnot. I think another really cool aspect of it is that we're all there with like the mutual respect and understanding that we're all here.
For sure.
A, to probably have a good time. I mean, everybody who's like made it this far is probably enjoying the process. But B, to like really help each other, like build our skills, and all with the goal of productive discourse, which aligns pretty heavily with our internship. But yeah, super fun. Are there any like, having watched a bunch of debates now, having done a few on your own, any like debates tactics or strategies or like methods that you think are uniquely powerful for either you or just in general?
I guess I'll kind of go back to what I said earlier. Like sometimes the closing statement makes a whole lot more of a difference than anything you might have said in the back and forth. And I think that just kind of has to do with voice and how you say certain things. Like, again, you can have just factually correct points, but like if you say them in a really weird way, it might get lost on the audience. So especially when you have an audience. So yeah, one thing I'll have to focus on is just like speaking clearly and like framing it in a good way. Might have to work on that emotional appeal, but I've never really been that kind of person, so we'll see if I can improve in that area. But yeah, I guess that's just kind of my surface level take.
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, like I moderated your last debate, and granted, it was my first time moderating, so I was kind of iffy. I didn't know when to jump in or whatnot. But I was sitting right next to you, and I was like, wow, this guy's like his tone of voice, his like control over like the, how do I say, like your inflections were really good. And I know that you're not as emotional as like a person per se. Neither am I.
Sure.
But the illusion at the very least, or the underlying passion towards the topic or just debating came out through that inflection. So take some credit for
the
that.
biggest one was irritation. I think I gave off, especially in my questions. Like I would have a tone of like incredulity that was like only partially actually there. So.
Well, I never picked up on it. To me, it was like, wow, this guy's like inquisitive. He's inquisitive with it. But yeah, in terms of like methods, debate strategies, I do think the biggest thing is just how well spoken you are.
For sure.
Like I can do some yapping, right? But there's things I can definitely work on to be more effective. Stop saying ums and uhs. And at the end of the day, or this idea of, or intuitively. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to debating, and this probably goes for argumentation in all of your life, right? Like how well spoken you are, how you use your voice to say words or convey emotions, and I think that's the core if you want to be an effective debate bro. Now, it would be better if you had, the core ideals of what Discourse series stands for.
Sir.
We want to make it productive, actually, be respectful and whatnot. But yeah, you
not just want to win.
yeah, because we lost. It was close though. But I don't know. How do you feel about now that you have more practice in? I remember in the very beginning, early on, you were like, debate is pointless. There's no point in doing it. Has that changed at all, or anything like that?
Really, you're like a Twitter user. You're just going through my previous statements.
Yeah. Yep.
To an extent, I still kind of stand by what I said, but that's only for like more political issues.
Yep.
Because
yep,
new ground just is never being broken. As far as more of what we're doing, especially as students, I think it is very, very valuable. I mean, we're not doing like as regents, we're not necessarily doing like public events, but I guess you could call our debate more of a public event.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's kind of a weird balance there, but it is certainly productive, if for no other reason than just our personal skills. Like we're still students, we're still developing our professional skills, if you want to say that. And debate is definitely a good way of doing that, if not just for the public speaking experience. So there's certainly value to it, just in doing it itself, and then like the outcomes of the debate for sure. Topic to topic obviously will have its whatever effects, but yeah, I'd say they're pretty productive.
Yeah, I think like I had that opinion like early on that they probably were, and it's gone like up and down in both directions. So the thing you said about politically, I am getting a little more doomer about our ability to use debate alone to change minds. At least
I prefer
in the
cynical.
Sphere. Cynical, yeah. Sorry, I'm a little too brain rotted. I woke up late, got here late. Logan was waiting for my ass, but still waking up. But yeah, cynical. I'm not hopeless, but it's definitely going to be an interesting time. And regardless of how much faith I put into, debate skills or debate as like a virtue or whatever, I do think it'll be helpful. And then I think more importantly, though, like having done actual debates, like talking with students, watching some debates, it's that student aspect, right? Like we are the ones who are going to be changing the world once we're in the job force, once we grow up a little more. And it definitely gives me hope. Not just like, I think we may have mentioned this early on, but like it's about like changing the audience, right? Like you both go in there knowing that you're not gonna be able to change the other side, especially when you go into like a structure like you're on this side, you're on this side.
Yeah.
But the fact that audiences are willing to listen, I mean, we had a decent turnout at our event. Yeah. Gives me hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, it boils down to just conversations. Like debate is just a facet of having a conversation, really, and those are obviously important. I mean, discourse, right? So yeah, I guess we kind of talked about this a little bit beforehand. What do you feel just on a national level are kind of discourse and conversations that are going on?
Like in regards to productivity, or just like
just are we going anywhere? Are we progressing as a society in that kind of topic, I guess?
Yeah, I feel like no matter what political plane you lie on, people are making realizations. Now, whether or not those are entirely well-founded. Actually, no. I'd go as far as to say the realizations are probably well-founded. It's how they go about addressing them where I vastly disagree with some people, right?
Right.
Like one thing that I've been seeing, we mentioned it a little bit, is this idea of like the left has no media power. And I've been doing a lot of reflecting on why that may be, you know, what Democratic, like center-left Democratic Party even looks like. And so we definitely have at least a place to start in terms of the left. And in terms of the right, I don't know. It's most people, I still imagine, are good people, and they're just being guided towards solutions I don't agree with to problems that do exist.
Sure.
But I guess I'll throw it to you. How do you evaluate that side of the political spectrum right now?
As far as the parties, I feel like they don't have a platform that is like unique from one another. I feel like they're both like we're just what the other side isn't, which isn't a platform. I mean, that's just a, you know. As far as like the discourse around it, I mean, again, we can go back to like the debates. They serve no purpose. Even in like elections, like most people already know who they're voting for, and like again, no new ground is really being broken. So I mean, you know, it's constant, which to an extent is okay, but the fact that we could be going, you know, on an upward slope and we're not is a little disappointing, but that's just politics for you, I suppose.
I guess that gave me like a question that popped into my mind. So now that, you know, election cycle's over, we've been debating on our own, but more importantly, we've seen some national debates, be it official, like presidential, or just two bots on Twitter trying to convince each other that either Russia or Ukraine should be obliterated. But is debate, like the process, literal like action of debate, just not productive? Or do you think it's the culture right now is in a state where it's not even willing to receive debate, if that makes sense?
I think it depends on the medium. Like you mentioned Twitter, like any debate, if you even want to call it that, on Twitter is you're doing more bad than you are good. In a public setting, like a public forum, if you want to call it that, there's a level of productiveness in that you're starting a conversation. Like I would like to think, and this is maybe a little wishful thinking, that following our debate, you know, the audience was heading home or whatever, and they were maybe talking amongst themselves, like, hey, what did you think about this? Well, like, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, just starting some kind of conversation is always, you know, pretty good. So debating itself, like among the debaters, if you want to call them that, probably no real value for them. The caveat is us, we're, you know, developing skills, obviously, but the debaters themselves, like, especially at the highest level, like, they don't really gain a whole lot from the actual act of debating. There's usually some, you know, other incentive. Maybe like they have a media presence or whatever. So, yeah, I guess that's just kind of my analysis. Do you largely agree?
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, what is debate?
God.
My final philosophical reference. I'm not taking you down there today, but yeah, like what does it mean? Is there a meaningful difference between like arguing over Twitter and having a public structured forum? Are those both debate? In my head, no. I feel like the word debate kind of has a more of an essence, I guess.
Yeah.
Something that I don't know. I think it's best exemplified by like Discourse series. You know, that we're people who come together, want to talk about problems, do it respectfully, and with actual hopes of like changing things in mind. And I feel like that's what constitutes like true debate to me. And I don't know, that's not very common these days. And I've been thinking about why.
Well, I think a lot of that is just putting more and more focus onto the national scale, like presidential elections. Like we care a lot more about that. I think someone even brought this up in one of our mock debates. Like people care way more about the national, you know, government structure than they do the local, which like is what matters a lot more for the most part. So I think that can explain some of it, and just the fact that as a society we're just we're just not very good people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So human nature's not good. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I think that's you put it perfectly there. But yeah, I feel like I've asked this for at least half of our episodes, but time has passed and we've become honed against the wet blade of university and debating. Are we cooked?
Oh, jeez. As a whole, maybe. As individuals, you and I, probably not. And I would say, well, that's maybe dangerous. I would say most of the students that are here to be students aren't. The ones that are just off partying and whatnot, they're in their own separate kind of circle. As a society, though, especially American society, because good Lord, maybe. But that's also just like off instinct, and I don't know how to back that up.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it's a maybe and not a yes is pretty good in and of itself.
That's sad to think about.
It is, but yeah, it's like a glass half full type thing. I tend to be Are you a glass half full person?
That depends. I'm a negative person just overall, but I'll also be like, sometimes I'll just be like, hey, the glass has water. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. Or like sometimes, like if I look at a glass and it's got like 10%, I'll be like, I'm gonna go find a different glass of water. But yeah, are we cooked? I just can't. I can't think so. I put too much faith in the individual level. Like if think of it this way, and maybe I'm just entirely naive, but like if like there wasn't so much turmoil around like national politics or even like politics in general, let's just like set that to the side.
Sure.
I think the world is pretty good. Like it's a lot of like the media or like the way they frame things, right? That makes it look far more tense than it is, but then by showing it, it becomes more tense than it is, and it's just kind of cyclical. Sure. But in our like day-to-day lives, like here on campus too, like there are a lot of like conservative students here, and I just like wouldn't know or care. Most of the time, I don't. And I think that says something about it's a testament to our ability to coexist and just be people who work together.
For sure.
That's just a matter of this behemoth of politics.
Yeah, I don't even know when it started that we like started putting so much more stock into the nation's politics, like on the national level. In my mind, there's a correlation with like voter turnout and polarization. I don't know if that's actually true, but like that just sounds like it's right to me. So I don't know. I mean, like it's such a problem, but does it even have a solution?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's a weird world we live in. But like as you said, beyond that, things are pretty dang good. So
yeah, I think one of the core things in our side of our debate was this idea of individual people having influence and power, right? And while on paper I would probably agree with the opposition if I wasn't arguing the other side that policy is probably like the way to go with protests, I think that our position has some merits though, and it's very broadly applicable to just our day-to-day lives. Like these conversations we're having, Discourse series, the arguments you have with your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving, because we all know that we had those. I certainly did. But those are things you can do, power you can hold, regardless of, political chaos, things burning down, things getting built.
Sometimes literally.
Yeah. But it's going to be, our voices, right? Our thoughts and our capacity for sharing those with other people that I think things will not be cooked.
Yeah, and not our Twitter voices.
Yes.
These voices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to be very disappointed in you if you haven't. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Any wrapping up thoughts?
Well, given this is the end of the semester.
Yeah. I think about it.
I imagine we're probably going to be continuing this. Maybe, but it's not guaranteed.
Well, nothing is.
Nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Unless you're a hard determinist like me, then it's all guaranteed causally. But, yeah, I'm just assume that this is our last episode. We don't know if it is, but assume this is our last episode of Discourse Debrief. What are your sending the ship away thoughts, feelings? What did you learn? How do you feel?
What did I learn?
That this guy can edit like a boss. Okay, I didn't do any of that. I wish I did. I offered to early, but then this guy's like, "No, I'm locking in," and then just did it all, and made it look beautiful.
Now I'm locking in, and then I'm locked in.
Yes.
What I learned about myself, especially with the conversations we were having, and honestly, especially with like when we had guests on, it's just more like, I guess how to talk about what I believe in, and like frame it in a way that kind of makes sense. Like when I would argue with my friends, like I grew up, like almost all my friends were conservative, so like when we'd have back and forth, I'm like, Jesus, I don't know how to describe like why or how I disagree with you, but just know that I do. And since starting this, now I'm like, okay, I know how to describe, you know, where I sway and why, and you know, all that fun stuff in between. And also just like communication in general. Like I think we've both improved on that front. I know Ted mentioned following the debate that we're very good at talking, but we're also talking to a wall or a phone. So
Imagine, like if the internet just didn't exist, we are just talking into it. Well, we're talking to each other too, but yeah, I get what you mean.
That's somewhat true. But yeah, and what was the second one? What did you learn about yourself and something else?
Oh, just closing, you know, thoughts on the experience, on, you know, just in general.
Like this was the thing I looked forward most in every week. So for sure, it was really fun. Even in like the conversation where I left feeling like a little sad, a little oof.
Philosophy does that to somebody.
And politics. But no, it was really fun. And just like on the YouTube side of the things, I like watching numbers go up. So it's very satisfying when we do something and like you guys evidently agree with it. So yeah, it's just fun talking about the issues of the world and seeing if we can find somewhere where we can be of assistance, I guess. So yeah, what about you?
Yeah. Broadly the same. I mean, you putting it like this is the thing I looked forward to every week. It's true. Yeah, it's fun working with you. Just I think it's broadly the same for me. Finding ways to articulate things that I've long known to be true and important to me. And I've had like conversations with, you know, people in my classes, in my family, with my friends, but having to structure it in such a way that this goes out to literally anybody who stumbles upon this video has been integral to my growth and becoming a better conveyor of ideas. But yeah, this has been super fun. You know that meme that's like COVID time and your friends are like, we're starting a podcast. We became those guys.
We are the meme.
Like people I wouldn't even expect would like, I'd run into them after not seeing them for a long time. They're like, oh, you co-host a podcast, right? And I'm like, you've seen it? That's crazy, dog. I do. But
my family finally found it.
Oh no.
I've
been sending my family every upload and they're like, Peyton, we get it. You yap. It's okay. And I'm like, nope, you're watching it. But
yeah. Just as the final thing, what do you see as like the foremost, you know, value of what we're doing here?
It's a beautiful question.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful question. Damn. There are lots of different ways I could go with this. I'm trying to find a way to.
Well, how's about this? Personal value and then just like as a whole.
Okay. Personal value, I am honing my skills. I like to believe that my ideas could be helpful for people, and they're rooted in compassion. And if I find a way, hone my way to share those with other people, such that maybe, possibly, through, you know, one random person I meet or one random person who watches this, a seed will be planted. I think that's the root of most public speaking endeavors, is planting the seed.
Yeah.
And this gives me a way to do that, and I derive a lot of, if not all of my like meaning in life from that interaction with other people. In terms of, you know, broadly, yeah, just exposure, I guess. I mean, we don't have those big numbers, but we have numbers that, if we had a room full of those people, that's a reputable audience. And just the fact that you guys trust us with your time and trust us, or you like our ideas, you listen to our ideas. It means a lot, and I think that gives me hope. But what about you?
No, I'm pretty similar as far as like personal. There's obviously a professional aspect for me, especially since I'm interested in politics. So being able to have political conversations that don't devolve into madness is always like a good thing for someone that's interested in that. So that's probably the more personal value, is just being able to have a conversation about politics and like have it feel, I guess, organic, if that's a good way of describing it. As far as like as a whole of what we're doing here and like kind of its impact, I mean, for sure, of course, we don't have the reach that necessarily we would maybe want, or that makes maybe a huge difference. But the smaller numbers, they're still important, right? I mean, anyone who watches this can come away with something that they learned, and that's obviously important. I mean, one touched mind is better than none, obviously. So, for sure, and exposing people to other ideas, as you mentioned, and like you said, you guys trust us and you like what we say, but I like to think some of you maybe even don't really like what we say.
Yeah, I misspoke there.
Wow.
But yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And that's even better, honestly. Like if you guys are still watching us and you just like, I don't disagree, or wow, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'm watching anyways. Like that's strong, and that's very, very good. So I like to think that there's some of that going on, and it's always a good thing.
We've seen the comments. Okay. We read those.
I respond to those.
Yes.
That's all me.
It is. This guy is the YouTube GOAT, okay? If we end up doing this in spring, I would be honored if you could show me the ropes.
There's nothing complicated with it.
I know, but I'm a very simple
Well,
you
you just come in here and you just talk. That's
I know
what you're best at.
But that's like, you do everything else.
Wow.
Or has. But this has been a group effort. And
for sure.
For
a
now,
lot has gone into this.
Yeah, for now, we send the ship off.
We do. Only for it to be, hopefully, rebuilt.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thanks, Theseus.
Yes. We got him. He mentioned philosophy first, okay? This is our first season, I guess, of Discourse
Semester,
Debrief.
Yeah.
We basically came up with this, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like looking back. I still don't even remember. We've talked about this a little bit. I still don't even remember how or why we decided to do this. We just did, and then it became this whole thing. So it's funny to think about.
It'll be cute and fun if I end with that story, because I think I know it decently well.
Go for it.
So I had heard about Discourse series through some classmates I had in the spring, and I was mildly interested, but wasn't sure if I wanted to commit. And then over the summer, until like right before school started, I was like, I'll look into this. Looked into it and realized that the applications had already been like done, interviews done, and I was like, well, crap. I really want to do this. And so I reached out to Ted, and I ended up at a meeting where I didn't know anybody, and I was under the impression that everybody already knew each other. And I was like, oh, crap, I'm just here. I don't even know if I'm in. And then Ted was like trying to attribute responsibilities to people, and I just didn't say anything because I didn't know if I was in or not. And then he was like, what if people make like a video, like some kind of, little thing talking, some kind of media thing for Fridays. And then I don't remember who went first. It was probably you or me or something.
Actually, you're sparking my memory a little bit. I think it actually started with Ted had the idea of someone going out and arguing on the mall.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
That's how it started. Yes.
And then my mind goes blank. So if you can connect the dots.
No, yeah. I think responsibilities have been attributed, and I don't think either of us had any yet. And I think that either one of us raised our hand, and Ted was like, oh, the other person can do it too. And I'm like, lit. Okay, 2 people. And then somehow, some way, we were like, let's make a video.
For some reason.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it was for. And it was a goofy little video. And then we discovered the sound studio. Yep. And now here we are. Each week we built. This guy found more editing techniques. I found crazier and more abstract philosophical topics to melt your brains with.
And Robert.
I brought Robert. Yes.
Still our best video to date.
Yes, and he does not
he does not
let me forget
us,
that.
No,
yeah,
he does not let us forget.
But here we are. And I guess you can. That's how things start sometimes. Just taking advantage of little eensy-weensy opportunities, eensy-weensy little ambitions, and if you act on them, you can end up with a big podcast. But yeah, do you want to go ahead and send her off one last time, at least for the fall?
I suppose I'll take the honor. Yeah, this has been Discourse Debriefs. I'm Logan. This is Peyton. We've been honored to have you with us for this time, and we hope that we'll be able to see you again in the spring. It's a crazy thought that we're already done.
Christ.
But yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed, there's plenty of other content that's on our channel. Plenty of stuff on our Instagram. It should be in the description. And yeah, just be on the lookout for spring. I'm sure we'll have some stuff to do, even if it's not necessarily here, just in general. And yeah, as I mentioned previously, see how much trouble we can get into.
Amen.
Yeah, that's all I've got. If you've got anything else.
Put it perfectly. Stuff coming in the spring, whether or not it's us or new people running the podcast, whether or not the podcast ends, it will live on in your hearts and ours. But
and the internet.
And the internet. But yeah, thank you guys for your time and sticking with us, and we'll see you sometime in the future.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.